Greetings everyone and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. We begin with our top stories. Muslim faithfuls in the capital city have called on Allah to intervene for the return of peace in troubled regions of Cameroon. This is part of their prayer points as they celebrate the feast of Ramadan after 30 days of fasting, a moment they consider special to zoom on their spiritual lives and make amends. Sandra Lorraine, a Manful, a 25-year-old topographic surveyor, was found dead one day after her disappearance. Her family demands justice for their daughter, while security officers have launched investigation to uncover her killers. And many education unionists in Cameroon have said an education crisis is imminent in the country. The root causes are poor working conditions and a workplace that does not foster growth. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Muslim faithfuls in Yaoundé have called on Allah to intervene for the return of peace in the troubled northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. This is part of their prayer points as they celebrate the feast of Ramadan after 30 days of fasting, a moment they consider special to zoom on their spiritual lives and make amends. Chavis says a mosque in Yaoundé, his story.
Thousands of Muslim faithfuls converge in different mosques across the city of Yaoundé for the Ramadan prayers this April 10, 2024, thanking Allah for the 30 days of successful fasting, fulfilling one of the 5 pillars of Islam.
Allah the Almighty made it possible for us to fast hitch-free, meaning we did not face any difficulties. The weather was good and we had what to eat.
We first thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for it is He who has permitted us to fast smoothly right to the end. I think this the month everything has been prescribed by Allah to all the Muslims. Blessing, forgiveness, reward, and the doors of paradise.
I feel very good because the day is a wonderful day and Ramadan is one of our perfect day in the world. So today we're going to pray and celebrate all the fasting to God about all this fasting. We'll be fasting about the 30 days.
Here at the Citeved Mosque, the prayer session was officiated by Imam Yaya Muhammad, who laid emphasis on sharing, living together and building Cameroon as a common good. He urged Allah to intervene for the return of peace and normalcy in crisis regions. A similar message echoed by the Imam of the Chinga Islamic Complex, Buba Goikoi, who equally called on the youths to uphold good moral values in the society. The faithfuls living the prayer grounds, touched and ready to use the 1 month of Ramadan period as a reference to living a righteous life.
If it is that you have been doing some mistakes and you have lived all those mistakes that you have been doing, that the sin for the full 1 month time, means that for the whole of your life you can still stop doing it without any problem. So that the life to adapt as a Muslim is to implement what you have been doing the whole past month of Ramadan. Share good behavior, smile with everybody.
Islam is peace, and where there is peace, there is everything. So if we practice it that way, everybody will love his neighbor and everybody will be in a good condition.
And it is a festive ambience among friends, families and even non-Muslims as they communion together at all nooks and crannies of the city.
And in different mosque and prayer grounds in Douala, Muslim faithfuls equally calls on Allah to return peace and stability in the northern, northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. The prayers were said in the presence of administrative authorities as a student journalist on internship, Christy IRA. It's also small.
It was under the drizzling rain, Muslim faithful in Douala commenced the Eid al-Fitr festivities. The inclement weather was seen as a divine blessing from Allah, symbolizing purification and renewal. At the Bonajo Government Square, as well as the mosques in Bois-de-Seigne and several other places in the city, a massive gathering of Muslim faithful took place for the concluding prayer of the Ramadan. Religious leader emphasized the importance of fostering unity, compassion, and understanding among individuals of different backgrounds and beliefs.
Il nous a montré un signe qu'il a accordé, accepté notre adoration.
It is already a good sign that Allah has accepted our adoration, our supplications, and we are confident that we have done our best. We also want the best for us and for our country, Cameroon. The message of the Muslim community is to continue the practice and teachings during Ramadan. They should not exaggerate. They should love one another, live together with others, accept their differences, share with others, and be faithful Muslims to others. The Muslims should also respect public laws because Allah demands us to respect established laws.
Dieu demande de respecter l'ordre établi.
During the prayer, heartfelt supplications were offered for peace, prosperity, and well-being, not only for the Muslim community, but for Cameroonians in general.
The corpse of a man in his 40s was found early this Wednesday morning at the entrance of a fifth-story building a few meters from a Rond Point Express in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. How he ended there, not clear, but from the sheets and other cloths transformed into cord via the window from the fifth floor of the building, his escape route that must have ended a fatal. More with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamu.
The presumed burglar must have profited from the Champions League match at the front building to enter from behind, made way directly to the office on the fifth floor, and using his own key entered for business. Pressed, the owners of the office rushed upstairs to serve.
We came and then we noticed the keys that we have are not opening the door, meaning that there's another key inside. So we tried, we rang the bell, we knocked, nobody reacted inside. So we knew that there was somebody inside, but we didn't know it was a thief. So we thought it was a colleague from the office. But we decided that since the person is not opening and is not reacting, we will lock the door from outside. But the person needs the door to be open, the person will call. Then we will come and open. So we got an iron, bent it, then blocked it.
An early morning call brought them face to face with the cops, and they came to realize their office has been burgled. The cut from sheet and other clothing indicates the escape route that sure ended fatal. Informed, the police, gendarmes like forensic police arrived at the scene, tracing and encircling all chains, computer that could help unravel the mystery man. His purse and content, alongside telephone, facilitated the task. The identification paper carries Guy Machan Fenjo Adamo Mfopa, 48 years, born in Fumban, West Region, but unfortunately, no one can personally identify him. Very painful to see a young guy dead, whereas he's having his hands and legs. We question how he even climbed up to fall here. Door of the office was then forced open. He took the ride down through the toilet window. At the time of our report, after the forces of law and order have gotten all the necessary information, the Yaoundé 6 Council officials were to carry cops away.
And we now tell you the story of Sandra Lorraine Manful, a 25 surveyor, was brutally assassinated by unknown individuals. Her corpse was found 1 day after her disappearance. Her family demands a justice for their daughter. More in the following story.
On a broyé ma fille, broyé tout, ses bras, sa tête,
The family's world shattered when Sandra failed to return home from her shifts on Saturday. Accompanied by a male colleague, she embarked on her usual journey to work, but fate dealt a cruel hand. Her colleague, in possession of her phone, left her behind under the pretense of seeking transportation, only to call her family hours later, reporting her missing.
Par ses propres collègues et avec le téléphone de ma fille, je leur ai dit comment vous avez le téléphone de ma fille et vous dites qu'elle a disparu.
The family's anguish turned to despair as hours stretched into a desperate search, culminating in the horrifying discovery of Sandra's lifeless body on Sunday. Her hands bore the marks of a vicious struggle, indicating a fierce battle against her assailants.
On a touché ma fille, elle s'est retrouvée couchée au sol. On a constaté que c'est l'assassinat. Sa tête était broyée, les mains broyées. Tu sens que comment elle se défendait partout.
Medical reports talk of assassination. The mystery deepens as the family grapples with unanswered questions surrounding Sandra's final moments. Why did her colleague retain possession of her phone for such an extended period? Was there a sinister motive behind this delay?
Attendez à une rançon. Pourquoi nous disent que donnez-nous temps pour qu'on libère votre fille? Mais vraiment, malheureusement, le matin, on revient trouver le corps de notre fille.
Hope turns to despair as the family lamented the absence of a ransom demanded, believing they would have spared no expense to secure Sandra's safe return. Their cries for justice echoed through the corridors of the grief-stricken disbelief.
Vraiment, aidez-nous, que toutes les personnes de bonne foi, qu'on nous aide à voir clair là-dessus. Nous sommes débordés.
Sandra remains laid sealed at the Logbaba District Hospital pending investigations under the directives of the State Council. Despite a relentless pursuit for more information, Canal team of reporters encountered a veil of silence at the Bonamusadi Gendarmerie Brigade.
And barely a few days after the 1 month announced a blockade on the main road linking Bamenda to Manful and Ikok, the separatists, Sodo General Ground Zero who championed the roadblock, has been killed. He and a close associate were put out of the way after a military assault on some areas of Batibo where the ban was particularly serious from Bamenda. More with our reporter Annie Collins Kejang Henry Atembe.
The commander of separatist fighters who ordered the 1 month closure of the Trans-African road from Bamenda to Manful and Ikok has been killed. General Ground Zero and another by name General Sock My Bobby were reportedly neutralized in yet another military raid in some localities in their native Batibo subdivision, barely a few days after the expiring of the 1 month embargo. Conversely, a faction of the separatists has announced the reopening of the Guzang market tomorrow, Thursday, April 11. The market, which is the largest in Momo division, had been closed for some months due to the threats from the fighters. In a video circulating on the internet, a spokesperson displays agricultural and other commercial produce getting rotten for lack of buyers. In a separate development, a new prosecutor has taken over service at the Bamenda Military Tribunal. Lieutenant Colonel Emmanuel Keboni on Tuesday, April 9, took over from Lieutenant Colonel Ngupayu Yusufa. The two have swapped duties in Marwa and Bamenda respectively. The handing over service was presided over by the Director of Military Justice, Colonel Jofak Sylvestre Pascal, who came in from Yaoundé for the occasion that was characterized by successive indoor meetings with both military and civilian magistrates and the general staff of the tribunal, to whom he called for assiduity at work in a region where the current armed conflict has led to the proliferation of arms and ammunition, which is the exclusive domain of competence of the military tribunal.
And many education unionists in Cameroon have said an education crisis is imminent in the country. The root causes are poor working conditions and a workplace that does not foster a growth. They have seen the need to polish the image of some public schools in an advanced state of dilapidation. More with reporter Kizi Kiga.
Cracked walls, a polluted environment, stagnant dirty water and dirty walls is a sad picture of one of the public primary schools in Douala. The dilapidating state of this institution is just a tip of the iceberg of what entails in many public schools in the city with negative impact on the teaching-learning approach.
I discovered that there's a big difference between the private school and the government school in terms of infrastructure, because in government schools the buildings are dilapidated, there is no maintenance, the teachers don't have they are not motivated to teach because of the environment. You find the teacher cannot dress well and go to school. You before you get the end of the day you are dirty.
Organizations affiliated with the International Education Union met in Douala on April 10th to seek for solutions on the poor state of public schools, whose image is not the best compared to private education.
The private schools, on the contrary, the proprietors make sure that the buildings are very welcoming. You have the motivation to teach because you come to school neat. At the end of the day, you still go back, you are clean.
We are here today to ask the government to put more effort in financing public schools. We are in a digital world. All schools are supposed to have internet, but it is not even the case. The government should appoint someone who loves this country and wishes for the country's growth. That is a kind of person that should be put in charge of public finances. We are calling on the government to finance these public schools. This awareness-raising meeting also aims to inform the Cameroonian government about the looming crisis in public education in Cameroon, with the high number of teachers leaving the profession for a better future.
The UK Chamber of Commerce and their Cameroonian counterparts have launched a guide to do business between the two countries. The guide was launched in Douala at the Chamber of Commerce Industry, Mines and Crafts. Kajan Henry Tembe reports.
Great Britain and Cameroon are working together to improve business conditions in both Cameroon and Great Britain. The business guide is a reference compass for investors in both countries. This document was presented at the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft this Wednesday, April 9, 2024. The document presented here is no different for a real roadmap for any investor who chooses to do business in both Cameroon and the United Kingdom. It covers openings in areas of taxation, entry, privileges, sea, land and air access, and offers all kinds of incentives.
I'm delighted at the work with the High Commission and the Chamber of Commerce to produce today's the business guide that we've launched today, to launch the business hub. And I look forward to it being used by business with the help of government to do more and more business between our two countries.
Great Britain and Cameroon have a long history of cooperation which respects the canons of modern partnership.
Business is good for all of us. It's what generates the jobs, the prosperity in both the UK and Cameroon.
For the UK Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, there is something for every sector of activity.
As a chamber, we have more than 25 members, active members, and so we are delighted today to welcome them and to launch the business guide and the hub. I just have to say that we are the first country to have such a hub, which if you look at the presentation, it's like a one-stop shop. You go there, you know everything about Cameroon. A lot of money has gone into it, and so I think it's something that even those who don't do business with the UK, in general, to do business in Cameroon, it's a place that you can go and get all the information that you need.
The practical guide to do business between the two organizations has strengthened the partnership, with both parties considered to be on a win-win situation.
And that's how we saw it in this edition of the Primetime Newscast, the English language on Canal, the international. Coming up next is the brief with Lil Piju. As for me, I'll be back same time tomorrow. But for now, back at the Salah to all our Muslim brothers. Good night.